To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. That's a famous quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, pointing to the fundamental human need and aspiration to authenticity. Authenticity has loyalty to truth, to self. So, if being yourself is the greatest accomplishment one could have, it means we can't just take it for granted. It means that's not so common for people to be themselves. Why is that? What can we gain from not being ourselves? Or what are we afraid of losing by being ourselves? Why is it so hard to be ourselves? First of all, to be yourself implies to know yourself, and to know yourself requires constant work of self-observation and self-inquiry, a process that's not always the most comfortable or the easiest. Breaking through attachments to your personality, through attachments to things, breaking through the identification with thoughts, breaking through resistance to truth. That's hard. So while being yourself seems the most obvious aspiration for every human being, we can't really say all people make that their conscious goal. To look at yourself, to really look at yourself and see yourself might be the hardest thing for each of us to do. Another reason why it might be hard for people to be themselves might have to do with the fact there is pretending in the world and we know it. There are lies and deceit in the world and we know it. Subconsciously, we are afraid of making ourselves vulnerable to that. We are educated into this unwritten rule and belief that you can't really afford to be yourself, that it costs you too much to step out of the line. At the same time, in the social and marketing game, we are being advertised and sold this idea to be yourself. A great concept as long as it aligns to the product, the image, the direction that big institutions or big brands want you to take. Be yourself the way we tell you to be. Be a rebel within the script. And often, being yourself is mistaken with what is actually a lack, a self-awareness, self-control, self-care, or care for anyone or anything around. To a smaller or greater degree, we are all part of the game, part of the pretending game. We lie and pretend for some kind of gain or as some kind of protection. We are afraid that by being fully ourselves, people won't like us as much. And that's because we don't like ourselves enough. We don't trust in who we are enough. And we don't trust in who we are because we don't know who we are. That's the loop. Self-confidence comes from competence in being yourself. Being good at being yourself is the best thing to be good at. Becoming a master at being yourself. So aware of both your strengths and limitations that even your limitations fuel your strengths. We not only conform to society, but we feel pressure to fall in line with expectations from family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, or whatever space we live in, and to chase other people's goals and ideas on how to live. That's soul deprivation. It takes so much energy to maintain appearances, but guess what? You are free to be yourself. It's your fundamental right, and it's your fundamental task and choice. Whatever you think it might cost you to be yourself, it's well worth it. To not be yourself, that's a violation of soul. It's self-abuse. to the highest degree. Only you can give ultimate value and power to things irrelevant to who you truly are, to people who don't care for your true self because they themselves are not aware or true to who they are. If the gap between what you feel as your inner self and how you present yourself to others becomes too wide, that's a sure recipe, a great recipe for misery, the gateway to bitterness, guilt, and anger. For me, to be yourself starts in the body, consciously inhabiting your inner space, bringing attention to the way we react to whatever comes to us, questioning our motives, dancing daily to the question, who am I? As you express your true self, you'll naturally attract other people who are also true to themselves and who resonate with who you truly are. And you'll gradually operate in an environment that supports what you stand for. There's another famous quote, you might have heard it. Usually it's attributed to Oscar Wilde, wrongly or not, I don't know. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. That's a liberating phrase. That there. You can only be yourself. You are meant to be yourself. And when there's true understanding of that, there's no space for jealousy, for envy, for self-deceit anymore. A world full of authentic people. People who love to be themselves, to express who they truly are and honor each other for it. A world full of authentic people. What would that be like?